In the morning sun where the flowers bloom, colors burst like a painter's dream come true. Roses red and violets blue, every petal whispers something new. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design, free sessions to blend within your budget line. Alright. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Now everybody, let's say hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, and every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you, just for you.
Hi everyone and welcome to our live Q&A. Normally we do this on a Monday, but of course we had the long weekend. I hope everyone had a wonderful long weekend. And I mean, we're about to go back into another weekend, which is great. So our live Q&A is the space for you to ask all of your gardening questions, all of those little, problems that you're having, or if, you're just about to get started with the garden and you're feeling really lost. This is a space to ask someone who's been working in the horticultural industry for decades and decades. So we have yet to come across a question that Chris can't answer. So if you want to take that as a bit of a challenge, feel free to do so. You're our community of gardeners, so if there's anyone else in your life that also is wanting to spruce up the garden, has a problem, please let them know about these live Q&As. We do them normally every Monday, so we are going to go back to our normal schedule on Monday, the upcoming Monday at 12 p.m. Let people know. Chris, how are you feeling today?
Great.
Yeah,
Really
great.
good, yeah.
Ready to answer some questions?
Yeah, ready for some tough questions.
Perfect. All right, first coming up, we got Sarah asking, what do you do about black spots appearing on roses?
Do you know, at this time of year, you kind of enjoy them. Like normally in springtime you're fighting the black spots because you want the leaves, you want the tree, the rose bush to grow and flower and do its thing through the summer. But what it is that we're not quite cold enough in Melbourne for your roses to go deciduous properly. And so what tends to happen is the bad weather comes, it's not really quite cold enough to get them just drop their leaves. And what happens is that with those cold and difficult conditions and cloudy days, you'll start to get mildew, powdery mildew and black spot, which are two different fungal diseases, and they'll take the leaves off your roses. And I know commercial growers, and they just let all of that stuff go crazy at the end of the season so they can get the leaves off them. And then a good all-purpose fungicide in the middle of winter, about the time that you give them, like middle of winter, sort of maybe mid-August, when you're going to give them that final prune and getting them ready for spring, give them a fertilizer and spray them with an all-purpose rose fungicide, and you'll clean up any residue of that material, get rid of all the stuff around the base of them and that, and clean right up, and then you're ready for a nice fresh burst in the spring. Then in springtime, if spring gets very humid and black spot starts to threaten, then you stay on top of it and you just spray once every week or 10 days with a rose fungicide, and you can stay right on top of it. I've even heard of people spraying with milk to get rid of it, but I haven't really tried that myself, but I've heard quite a lot of different people have said that to me. But basically, if you've got black spots now, enjoy them. They're gonna send you roses dormant and set them up for spring.
Okay, perfect. So not such a bad thing then. Our next question is from Wendy asking, how do I grow beautiful daphnes this time of the year?
Yeah, well, right now, the winter daphne is coming into bloom, and there's two sorts of it. There's a white winter daphne and a pink winter daphne, which is a bit of a mixture of pink and white. And it's a thing that lots of people have trouble growing. And the main thing I've discovered about it is that what daphnes need is they need lots and lots of soil under them. So if you had a big old tub with the bottom broken off it, or a pot with the bottom broken out, but basically the perfect spot, the thing to do is go find the perfect spot. Now the perfect spot might be on the east side of a building where you've got the morning sun, or the east side of a big tree or something like that. And what you do is you dig a great big hole there and mix beautiful potting mix all through the ground. And you could dig a hole 60, 80, 90 centimetres deep. And then you put your pot on top of where you've done, and you fill it back up again with good potting mix and mixed with your soil. Then you put your broken pot or your broken tub on top of that soil, and you fill that up with really good potting mix, and use plenty of Osmocote, put plenty of Osmocote around the top of it. But so that what you've done by having 60 or 80 centimetres of soil that deep, and then putting a nice big tub on top with another lot of soil, you end up with over a metre of soil. And that's where daphnes go crazy. Daphnes need lots and lots of soil. My dad used to grow daphnes commercially, and he found a spot on his farm where there'd been a landslide and the soil was maybe 2 or 3 metres thick on the ground. And he planted daphnes there, and he had daphnes that were 2 and 3 metres tall with big thick trunks on them like trees, because they just went crazy with that deep soil underneath them. So what you'll find, if you have that, do a tub and do the in the ground bit, and then plenty of water and fertiliser, you'll find that your daphne will just go berserk. And when this time of year comes around, a really healthy daphne will be just covered in flowers for weeks and weeks and weeks, and give you mountains and mountains of beautiful fragrance. It'll fill that whole corner of your garden.
Amazing. Yeah, great daphnes in no time at all. Also, if you are having any questions, do please comment them and we will answer them as we go along. Next is a question from Paul asking, what are we doing for our EOFI or end of financial year sale?
Well, we're working our fingers to the bone, and what it is that what happens with most sales, what people are doing this time of year, they've got some stuff in their warehouse that was the wrong colour or the wrong this or the wrong that, and it's not selling, so they mark it 50% off, and out it goes. But what we're doing is we're taking 200 or 300 of the most sought after items, things like hydrangeas, evergreen magnolias, deciduous magnolias, wisterias, dogwoods, the stuff that people really camellias, the stuff that's really sought after, the stuff that people really want. We're taking that stuff and we're marking a range of 400 or 500 items, the best stuff, we're marking it 25% off just till the end of June. So if you jump in now, you can get that marked down fabulous, and it's 25% off the good stuff, not the old stuff that we can't sell anymore that we need to get rid of, but the very best stuff. And what it is we're kind of, it's been, normally we would, when we have a sale, we're selling something that you need to get rid of because everything else is sold, but with things being a little bit tougher, slowing down a little bit, to get things really going, we're offering the very, very best stuff, the hard to get stuff, the scarce stuff, and you can see it on our website. The page will be up in the next day or so, and it'll be our end of financial year sale, and you'll see there 400 or 500 items marked down 25%, and it's the really good stuff. And if you work out those prices, you'll be amazed. I think like there's 6-foot Senkaki maples for $99. Now that's unheard of. Normally you'd be paying a couple $100 for something like that. So really good value.
Wow, that sounds incredible. Very exciting. So yeah, we're going to be having that website go live and also be posting on our socials very soon. So stay tuned for that. Next question from Sally asking, can sapphire dragon be grown in a pot?
Yes, and you can get a young sapphire dragon and get a giant flower spike on it in one season. The way to do that is to put it in a pot with no fertilizer in the potting mix, like a really nice hungry soil mix, and then use liquid fertilizer on it, once or twice a week through the springtime and right up until Christmas, and then around Christmas time cut right back to a minimum of water and have it growing. Use foliar fertilizer 2 or 3 times a week, and then what'll happen is that it'll just shoot away and go crazy, and then after Christmas you start to starve it and it'll form a big flower bud, and then you can actually have the sapphire dragon flower bud is amazing. It'll have 200 or 300 buds on it, and when it blooms you get 200 or 300 flowers all at once in a sort of a giant pyramidal shape. So you can actually grow and flower a sapphire dragon in a pot.
Amazing. Sounds very, very beautiful. Next question up is from Bethany asking, how do I transplant a weeping cherry?
Right, it's a good time to ask that question. What you need to do is you need to dig it up, and you need to dig it up with plenty of root, even a little bit of soil, but you don't need that much soil. The main thing is plenty of root. So say for instance if your weeping cherry was 6 foot tall and say the trunk was about that thick, which would be a 2 or 3 year old one, you'd want to dig it up with the roots intact for a width of like that, which would be about 1 metre. So about 1 metre wide of roots. That's why you don't need too much soil because it'd be too heavy. But if you were to dig a trench out 50, 60 centimetres away from the centre of the trunk and dig down a trench and cut underneath it and wriggle it and pull it out with plenty of root, and then when you transplant it, you don't want to put it into a deep hole full of water because then it'll rot. If you're in an area that's very, very wet, make a bit of a mound and plant it up nice and high and maybe secure it with a stake. But plant it up nice and high and keep it. The last thing you want to do is dig one up and then put it in a hole full of icy cold water for the winter. You'll be wrecked. So just plant it up nice and high and mound it up a little bit, and there's no need to put any fertilizer on it until it starts to move in the spring. So watch after you've done it. The after keys is get the key to it is get plenty of root, then plenty of root intact. Then don't drop it into a hole full of water. And then 3, no need to fertilise it until it starts to move in spring. So they're the 3 keys to it.
Okay, great. Well, good luck with that. We hope that the transplanting of your weeping cherry...
And one other thing is that if it's got a big bushy head on it, cut the head back by 2/3. And that takes a little bit of weight off the roots, because even though you've dug it up with plenty of roots, you've still severed a lot of roots to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Well, we hope that goes well, Bethany. Next question is from Lee asking or saying, my Japanese maple still has leaves on it. Is that normal?
Yeah, if your Japanese maple was growing really, really well late in the season, I've noticed any that were growing really, really well, I've still got the odd one here and there in the nursery with leaves on it. Any that are growing really, really well can still have leaves on them at this time of year, particularly where the new growth tends to drop last. And in actual fact, the nurseryman was telling me a trick that he's discovered. He's discovered that if in late autumn he gives a good dose of a good fertiliser to his Japanese maple, he can prolong the autumn colour. Will come later and come for longer, so he gets more show out of his maple. So it's an interesting thing that a good dose of fertiliser late in autumn can be a boon to your, or late in summer, sorry, so we're talking sort of February, March. Good dose of fertiliser at that time can really prolong the autumn colour and prolong the holding of leaves later on in the season. Nice,
and the autumn colours do look so incredible on the Japanese maple. Next question is from XY Hugh asking, what is the best soil mix for fixed planters along boundary fences?
Right, okay, so these are ones that are raised up, stuck to the fence, are they? Yeah.
Just saying, best soil mix for fixed planters along boundary fences. I'm not sure if they're raised up. If you want to add a bit more detail there, XY Hugh.
Yeah. So if they were, my favourite fertiliser is Nature's Soil, and we do a 30-litre bag here for around $15, and it gives you. And what I like about it is that's not particularly cheap, but it's cheap for top quality, and it really is a good top quality mix. And we use that mix for all of our commercial production. So it's that would be the potting mix that I would use for that situation, and that's got lots of coir peat in it. And if it's a fixed planter, like the sort of thing raised up in the air and exposed to a lot of wind, you'll find that one will hold its moisture very well, better than a lot of other mixes.
All right, perfect. If it is a different situation, just comment below XYQ and we will once again address the question, but that sounds pretty good. Next question is from Bill, asking, when does the magnolia go into flower?
Okay, our deciduous magnolias have got a little bit of bud swell at the moment, and I reckon month to 5 weeks we should be seeing the early pink Solangiana, which is the one that sort of sends everyone crazy for magnolias in Melbourne every year. I think that they'll be showing bloom around Melbourne in another 4 to 5 weeks.
That's not too long.
No,
feels like a little bit of hope. It's quite chilly right now.
That's right, and it'll kind of be a herald of spring.
Oh, incredible. Cannot wait for spring. I mean, well, Jeanette, perfect on that kind of same topic. What is your favourite spring blossom?
I think I was brought up in a house with an enormous Denudata magnolia, which is a Japanese one. It's a white species one with a beautiful candle-like flower and an absolutely heavenly fragrance, and we had an absolutely enormous one, and our whole front, and in late winter, early spring, our whole front garden would be just filled with the most beautiful fragrance and these heavenly white candles, and so that's a Magnolia Denudata.
Magnolias are very stunning. Don't forget, guys, if you do have any questions, please comment them below and we'll answer them right here, right now. So you don't have to go on some Google search or try and call up anyone to get your questions answered. You can just get them answered in real time on the spot. Next question is from Dan, asking or saying, I live in country Victoria. What is the best specimen to create a tall screen?
Right. Tall screen. I guess it depends a little bit how tall, but say, really, like if say you're out the back of Bacchus Marsh or kind of Ballarat or out sort of Shepway or something like that, it would be hard to beat a Glauca pencil pine. A Glauca pencil pine will grow about 9 metres. It'll grow a little bit more than a metre in diameter. And the great thing about it is that it doesn't spread out and bush out everywhere, so you don't have to go up and trim it or anything like that. It just makes beautiful green columns, and if you plant those columns fairly close together, you can make a green wall. And if you work up the ground properly, water and fertilise them, start with a good sized tree to start with, you can get 1.5 metres a year. So if you planted a small tree and you had it grow for 1 year, then after that 1 year, you might only get 1 metre in that first year, but after that 1 year, you should be able to get 1.5 metres a year by doing these things. First of all, having grass and weed control around the base, a bit of water and fertiliser through the summer, and that's really about it. A bit of water and grass and weed control and a bit of fertiliser, and you can get 1.5 metres a year. Now, that means that in 5 or 6 years, you can grow yourself a 9 metre green wall that's really sturdy against the wind and really quite attractive.
Nice. Just going back to XYQ, he does, or she, does specify that it is raised, which is what we answered anyways in that context. So,
yeah, that's right. Yeah. And you might even add an extra little bit of soil wetter so that it takes in, like we sell soil wetted separate to the potting mix, and so that it takes in the water and holds it a little bit better, because the main problem you have with the raised bed is that you're up in the wind and you're up away from the ground and the evaporation rate is much higher. So a little bit of soil wetter and then that nature's soil used with a bit of soil wetter, I think would be the answer for that situation.
Perfect. The next question is coming from Joe, asking, does Boston ivy grow well near the coast?
it's got a hard glossy leaf, and I mean as long as you weren't too close to the coast, it would be fine.
Okay.
Like for instance, I notice when I'm doing deliveries and things around Brighton, I see it there. I see beautiful lots of it within 150 metres of the beach there. But I wouldn't grow it absolute beachfront. But with that hard shiny leaf, it'll have quite a high salt tolerance.
All right, perfect. Next question is from Bill. I'm asking, can I espalade lemon trees? Espalier?
Yes.
Lemon trees.
Yeah, I can. You can. Now, I think the key to that, if I was espaling a lemon tree and I was in Melbourne, I would do a Eureka, because it's a good strong grower and it's not too prickly. Like the prickles are going to make it unpleasant espaling. So Eureka, not too prickly, good strong grower. And the other thing is, don't buy one that's too old or too big. Get one that's fairly young and whippy. So a nice young whippy one. Plenty of water, plenty of fertilizer. Push it along, and then madly train it as it goes. And I think that and also the thing with the Eureka is that once it's established, you'll have some lemons on it every day of the year. So for lemons all year round, not too many prickles, vigorous and hardy. I'd go for a Eureka lemon, and I'd start with one fairly young. When they get old, the branches get quite brittle and stiff, and they're hard to work with.
Okay, awesome. The next question is from Corey, and that's asking about our garden design. So here at Hello Hello, for people who don't know, we do a free garden design where we take your garden and what you want, and we provide a very personalised, professional design. Corey's asking, do you do garden designs for new properties, and do you come out and plant the plants yourself?
We have people that we can recommend, and I have a number of different people, and depending on the sophistication of the job and the soil and all the things that you're dealing with, I've got different people I can recommend who are all separate businesses to me. So I've got people I can recommend, and I like to do the garden designs here, and the reason is I'd have 3,000 or 4,000 different types of plants on site here. And people say, and I say, well, why don't you plant these? And they say, well, I'm not sure. And you bring them up and you show it to them. They go, look, I don't really like that, and we can discard that, whereas sometimes people with these, fancy garden designs that they get, they pay fortunes for, when they they come in here and they look at the plants that they've got to plant, and say, oh, gee, I hate that. And all of a sudden their garden design is in ruin. So we do them on the spot, and we do them with the plants on hand, with photos on hand, and we discuss it. And basically, I have the idea that people have a garden inside them, and my job isn't so much to create and push a garden onto them, it's actually to draw the garden that they want, but they don't quite know how to express it because they don't know the plant names, they don't know what grows in the sun or the shade, or they don't know the technical ins and outs, but they know what they want, and it's up to me to draw that out of them and get them and kind of help them to express what they really want. And we do that by showing them different plants and kind of putting it all together on the spot. By the end of the day, I'll end up with half a truckload of plants all around my table. There'll be stuff everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're lucky enough, sometimes Chris comes out and helps with the layout, so not with the actual planting, but just positioning the plants. And you might even see me, who comes and shoots some content
of
the garden designs. We've actually shot, some really beautiful gardens that we've done a couple months on from the actual planting. So, come book a garden design.
I had a young couple, and I did their backyard, and their backyard's gone really, really well, and they're really thrilled with it. And they came out yesterday, and I designed their front garden, and just they were a little nervous about the plant placement and how the design exactly worked. And so just as it was getting light at 7 o'clock this morning, I pulled up out the front of their house and helped them lay out their front garden. And so they're happily planting their front garden as we talk.
Nice, maybe we'll go check it out in a couple months. All right, we've got a question here from Nick asking, how do you grow show-stopping hydrangeas?
Right, okay. Well, the starting point would be to visit our nursery, for instance. I reckon we'd have 20 or 30 different types of hydrangeas in stock. And some of them have multicoloured flowers. There's lots of different features that you can get with your hydrangeas. So point number one, get a nice collection of them. Then point number 2, get the ideal spot. Now the ideal spot where you're going to do best with I've got sun hardy hydrangeas, and I've got all sorts of hydrangeas here, but overall, if you wanted to do really, really well, you'd have your hydrangeas in morning sun and afternoon shade, or dappled shade, or deep shade. Like so, shade, 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 and a spot where you could put. And then what they love is they love water, 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 and then they love a bit of manure. And they seem to do really well with Osmocote. They do really well with a bit of chicken manure. So basically, and then they like fairly good soil, and also in terms of colour. What's interesting, people say, look, I want a blue hydrangea or I want a red hydrangea. Well, there's actually no such thing as a blue or a red hydrangea. What there is, it's like saying I want a blue bit of litmus paper. But litmus paper is the colour of whatever exposure it has to pH. And so what happens is that your pale pink hydrangea, put into acidic soil, or if you go into Bunnings, you can buy hydrangea colouring. So with the blue, if you put the blue, or you put in acid soil or the blue hydrangea colour, your pale pink hydrangea will become pale blue. Your deep pink or red hydrangea will become dark blue, and your deep, super deep, really red ruby hydrangea becomes deep purple when it gets the acid treatment. Or alternatively, there's the alkaline treatment. The alkaline treatment is very simple. It's just lime. And so if you put heaps of dolomite lime around blue hydrangeas, you can turn them, depending on what colour they were. If they were a pale blue, you'd turn them a pale pink. And if they were a deep blue, that you'd turn them a sort of a deep rose red. And so basically, so in terms of controlling the colour, that's to do with the pH. Then plenty of water, plenty of fertiliser, and that perfect spot, which is morning sun and afternoon shade, no hot afternoon sun, and you pump them with water and away they go. And then the next thing would be to learn how to prune them. Once you get your I get people come in and they say, look, I've got these hydrangeas and they grow like crazy, but they never flower. Anyway, I know what that person's doing. What they're doing is they shoot up really big, the hydrangeas go monstrous, and then they just get them and shear off all the growth like that. And then what happens is most hydrangeas, there are some exceptions, but most hydrangeas flower on second-year wood. So when your hydrangea grows really, really big, what you do is you go through and cut every second or third stem off down low so that it produces the shoots for next year, and you leave some old big long shoots. You leave big long shoots every so often on it, and they're going to be those big long shoots that are young shoots for this year. Next year have big flowers on them, and if you prune them just right, it means that you have less flowers and your flowers are bigger. And then as the flowers come, plenty of water, plenty of fertiliser, and those flowers pruned correctly, the flowers will then become really nice and big. So a little bit of thinning out helps you get to those really, really big flowers.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. My parents actually had a hydrangea farm when I was a little child, and they used to pick and sell the hydrangea flowers as cut flowers. And what I can remember, we had one particular hydrangea down there that had really strong stems and really big heads. Well, they seemed massive to us as little kids, and we used to go down there just wearing a pair of shorts in the hot sun, and when my parents were picking them, and they'd cut off one of those flowers for each of us, and we'd be running around holding them as little sort of 3 and 4 and 5 year old kids, running around holding them as their umbrella, so the flowers were so big.
Oh, that sounds incredible. Yeah, well, hopefully, Nick, that helps you get some show-stopping hydrangeas. If you do get them, please send us pictures. We'd love to see them. Next question from Drew, asking what scrub would you recommend that flowers and only gets a metre high, a nice feature type scrub?
Right.
Or are you meaning shrub?
He was thinking
perhaps
Portuguese
shrub.
laurel. Portuguese laurel wants to be much bigger than that. There's an apple blossom. There's an apple blossom escallonia, which is a lovely pink one, which you can, with a little bit of a trim, you'll keep it a metre tall, and it flowers for quite a lot of the year. Another one would be a snow maiden Indian hawthorn, beautiful show of white flowers in springtime, and that's another one with just a small trim. You'll keep that at 1 metre in height. And then Choisia, Mexican orange blossom, flowering at the moment, and that loves the shade and a bit of good soil, but that's covered in beautiful fragrant flowers right at the moment, beautiful dark green glossy foliage, and that with a little snip will easily stay 1 metre tall as well.
Some really good options there. Good question here from Ruai Melbourne. I hope I said that right. So they're talking about how after COVID, the building materials and builders have gone up a lot. Do you think in 2025 it will be more costly or less? That's a good question, whether it's going to keep trending upwards or if maybe next year things are going to start.
For buying plants?
I think let's talk about buying plants. Are you talking about building materials and builders, but our speciality is going to be more in plants? Or if you know any inside knowledge about the landscapers that we're working with?
Yeah, well, plants have actually went up in price. Plants went up in price quite a bit at the time of COVID because there was tremendous demand, and they stayed up in price till about a year ago, and then plants have been, as nurserymen compete to sell them in a tough market, plants have got quite a bit cheaper, and our prices at the moment are nearly back to pre-COVID prices. But I don't know that that's going to happen with bricks and timber and things like that, but certainly the plant industry is perhaps more volatile in that it's not a product that you can store in a shed and keep forever. So nurserymen tend to produce it and then sell it. And so basically prices, if you're shopping around, you'll find that prices are at or below where they were at COVID.
Okay. Yeah, good question there. Next one is from Ken. What is a good hedge plant for south facing? I was wanting Portuguese laurel and I want an option for Australian native hedge as well.
Okay, south facing, I'd have trouble thinking of a good Australian native hedge, and Portuguese laurel, no. The very best one in a south-facing property is your sweet viburnum, and there's a couple of different sweet viburnums, but just your plain sweet viburnum is excellent, and some of the other varieties are good too. And then your second best would probably be a cherry laurel, and then I just mentioned the Mexican orange blossom is also good in a true south-facing position. So Mexican orange blossom, sweet viburnum, and the different forms of it, and cherry laurel.
Nice. Sorry.
Yeah. So that gives you three. Cherry laurel would be the tallest and fastest of them, and then sweet viburnum, that's a hedge that you can keep between 1.5 and 4 metres, and then Mexican orange blossom would be a hedge that you could happily keep between say 90 centimetres and 1.6, 1.8.
Yeah, a couple good options there. Next question is from Ramya, asking how do you grow hibiscus plants? It doesn't flower. Maybe they're having issues with it flowering?
Okay, so hibiscus plants are hungry for fertiliser, and what I would do, if my hibiscus wasn't flowering, I would buy Miracle Grow. Now Miracle Grow gives plants, I've never seen a plant that was refusing to flower that didn't flower with a couple of good doses of Miracle Grow. So you're not going to get your hibiscus to flower till the weather's warm, but as soon as the weather starts to warm up, if you were to put on a weekly dose of Miracle Grow, I'm sure that your hibiscus is going to flower. If it doesn't flower with that, I'd throw it away because it's a non-flowering hibiscus. But I'm sure that what it is, that Miracle Grow has a very high phosphorus level in it, and that high phosphorus level sort of gives the plant an almost slightly toxic shock, which forces it to flower. And flower heavily. So I've used it lots of times to get things to flower.
Okay, well keep us updated on how that goes and if that solves your problem or if you keep having issues. We're only going to answer 2 more questions. So second last question is from Julie, asking, do foxtails come in dwarf size?
No, I haven't seen. I imagine what you're talking about is the foxtail asparagus fern.
It's the I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. Pennisetum cetaceum.
Cicatum. No, there's really only, the cicatum is my favourite because the cicatum, the head and the leaves, the whole thing moves and sways in the wind, and that, on a windy day in a beautiful garden can look really, really aesthetic. But no, there is no. And I don't know of anything that's even similar to that comes in a dwarf form. But there's quite a few other sort of foxtail grasses on the market, and none of them are as nice as the Cichidum. The Cichidum's beautiful.
Okay. Just quickly, what was the Mexican plant that you recommended? I think it was to Ken. So sweet viburnum, cherry laurel, and then
Mexican orange blossom, which the proper name for that is Choisya tenato.
Okay.
That's the Latin name for that.
Or just Mexican orange blossom. We do have it on our website. And then last question. Also, don't worry if we didn't get to your question today. We're going to run this Q&A again on Monday, and we do normally run it every single Monday. We just obviously didn't this week because it was a long weekend. So last question here from yours truly. What are some feature plants for a backyard, like lilies, hydrangeas?
Right, okay. So really nice feature plants for a backyard. For instance, with a hydrangea, I like the oak leaf hydrangea. And the reason why I like the oak leaf hydrangea is that it has masses of white flowers, and then late in the season the flowers die and the leaves go autumn coloured, and instead of looking like a dead stick through the winter, your oak leaf hydrangea will be beautiful glowing burgundies and reds and purples and things like that all through the winter, and give you a real show through the winter. So that, and I guess, which really brings me to the point, they're things, I like things that do more than one thing. And another thing I love is your variegated Weigelia. Now your variegated Weigelia is, when I was young, it was the one of the, would have been probably the #1 fashionable bush around Melbourne. And my dad, I used to collect cuttings around, go around and trim up bushes for people, collect cuttings for my dad. And my dad would say, get me 25,000 Weigelia, variegated Weigelia cuttings. And he was serious, he wanted 25,000 of them. And I'd have to trim up hundreds and hundreds of bushes all over Melbourne, and it'd take me weeks to do. But your variegated Weigelia, it's got leaves with sort of cream and pink and green on it, and then what happens is that then mid-spring it'll come into flower, and the flowers are a mixture of pink and white. So you've got all of these colours happening, and it's out of this world, and it doesn't grow too big. And then you have sporadic flowering all through the summer, and then when autumn comes, you get a mixture of reds and pinks and all different colours. And the autumn colour, it's a multicoloured autumn colour, and it makes a beautiful, colourful little bush. And it looks really good for at least 9 months of the year. So it's another thing that looks good over a long period. And another great feature for the backyard is your what do you call it? Your flowering crepe myrtle. Your flowering crepe myrtle it grows into a nice medium-sized tree that can be trimmed and shaped really well and have a sort of almost oriental look to it. It will have beautiful dappled bark, smooth dappled bark on the trunk, which looks absolutely fabulous. And then after after probably 6 weeks of beautiful, colourful flowers in the heat of summer when nothing much else is flowering, you get fantastic autumn colour, and that autumn colour goes for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And then in the winter you enjoy the beautiful bark on it and the lovely shape of the tree. So it's a tree that gives you a year-round feature, a gorgeous year-round feature in the backyard. So they're 2 or 3 feature plants that you could consider.
Yeah, and we actually on our YouTube channel we do have 2 playlists specifically about feature plants. So got one playlist that's about feature trees, and then one that's about feature plants when you're not wanting a tree. So if you do want to peruse some more options, hop over to our YouTube channel. So sorry if we couldn't get to your questions today. Please hang on to them and come join our live Q&A Monday 12 p.m. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So whatever platform that you've come on today, we're going to be on that again on Monday. So please, hang on to that question and then just ask it on Monday. We'll get to it then. Thank you so much for coming and asking questions and participating. We couldn't do these live Q&As without you guys. We'd have no questions to answer. So please do keep coming and recommending us to any friends or any family that are also struggling with their gardens, or just really want to learn more about gardening, because gardening is actually pretty great once you get into it. And who doesn't want a beautiful garden, Chris?
Yeah, that's right. It's a wonderful hobby.
It really is. Time in nature is always, always good. So thanks everyone for coming. We will see you on Monday. Have a lovely weekend.
In the morning sun, where the flowers bloom, colors blurs like a painter's dream come true. Roses red and violets blue, every petal whispers something new. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant, in every shade and room, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design, free sessions to blend within your budget line. Alright. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello, plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant, in every shade and room, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Now everybody, let's say hello, 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 hello.